Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Crushing Land, our live Q&A session here with you guys today. It's myself. Gina's just hopped on, as you can see, so we're happy to be here with you guys today as we answer your questions. Real quick, before we get going, this is live. It is interactive, so if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we do have some questions that we've had come up in chats and things like that we'll be answering throughout this, but you can also it is interactive now. So feel free to ask your questions live as you are watching this, and we'll be happy to answer that as well. So again, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, we're monitoring all of that, and we'll answer your questions for you. And if by chance you're watching this after the fact and you have a question, obviously it's not going to get answered live, but make sure to put it in the chat or the comments on either one of those two areas, like Facebook or YouTube, and we will make sure to reach out to you and get you answers to your questions. So before we begin, Gina, you got anything to add, or are we going to jump right into this?
I just wanted to say we did get a list of the questions that people asked in the chat and in the comments and stuff like that. So if you already put a question in there, more than likely we already have it. We're going to answer it. If you have any further questions, that's the ones you want to input in the comments now so we can see them. Make sure you do it in the comments, not in the chat, as we are going to be in the comments, looking through the comments. It's hard for us to kind of, go through 4 or 5 different screens to try to find questions. So we can just keep it simple, put it in the comments. That help us out.
And to make that less confusing, what I'll do is I'll actually, maybe I can't. I was going to say I was going to shut off the chat, but I can't figure it out right now. I was going to say I'll just shut that off so that we don't have that problem, but I don't know if I can do that. So, well, this is running. So by chat, what he means is obviously that chat feature that's on Facebook. Don't put it in that. So put it in the actual comments below the video that you're watching here, on Facebook or on YouTube. Put it in the comment section there as we're going along.
Yep. So with that being said, we can go right into it, Jonathan, while we're waiting on some people to join us and others to think of the questions they want to ask. We can kind of start with the questions that we already received that we've already jotted down. First one, what are the best ways to market vacant land? Don asked this. He currently has several, primarily in all over the United States, basically. He put about 5 different states here. So what are the best ways to market vacant land?
You want to start? You want me to start?
I mean, I think it's not more about where you're marketing. I think it's how you're marketing it. And I'm sure Jonathan agree with this, but I think it's more about what you're putting in your ad versus where you're marketing your ad could be a difference. But I mean, personally, I'm marketing Facebook, Zillow, Craigslist. I mean, sometimes eBay, if it's a smaller deal or a seller finance deal or something like that, I'm doing that as well. But yeah, nothing special. It's just what we put in the ad, things that people want to see and hear versus, all the extra stuff that people don't care about.
Yeah, I would say that's a big thing. People say a lot of times that sorry, I was trying to clear something here. People say that they aren't getting results or they're not getting responses and things like that. A lot of that has to do more of, and I've made some short videos on this. You got to be looking at your pricing, obviously, if that's the case. And then after that, you got to be looking at what's actually in the content of your ad, marketing in the right place. And by the right place, I don't mean the right place as in like the right forums. I mean, in actually the right location. It's amazing how many people are like, because they don't check things, they're putting something on Facebook and it defaults to their location and they're trying to, you said something about like, I forgot what it was, Arkansas, I think you said. Somebody has a property in Arkansas, but they live in Florida and they never change the default settings. And so the property goes into Florida marketplace instead of Arkansas, which obviously, and Arkansas obviously has more than one, but for the right town. Yeah. So having that and having the right information, having the stuff that people care about, those are all huge things. And then there is certain one-off situations. We're not going to get into all of those today. But obviously there's different things out there where you can be and we teach this, but there's in our course and things like that, different things that you can use that are paid services. And those paid services, obviously it's case by case scenario based on the type of property, the value of it and a lot of different parameters and things like that.
Yep. So can you write? I guess they meant to say, can you create your own quick claim deed in the state of Florida?
You can create your own deed for any property, for a property in any state. That's like a big misnomer that I think people have, and it's creating them for other people that is the issue. And you can't create a deed for another person for a fee in any state. People say, oh, attorney states. Unless you're a title agent, you can't do it in that state either. You have to have some license. So to actually like go and create a deed to move property, to have it done and to record it and things like that, and to charge them to do that, things like that, you have to have some sort of license, either a title license, if it's a title state, or an attorney license if an attorney state, right? But if you're just moving your own property, either as you own it and you're selling it, or you're buying it, you're a principal in it, one or the other, you can always create it. People do that all the time. People create quick claim deeds. We don't recommend quick claim deeds. But you can, that's a familial thing oftentimes. You can create a deed like within your own family to move property, like by quick claim or something like that. People do that all the time. So it really is, if you're a principal, is the big question in the transaction, you're the buyer or the seller, and are you doing it not for a fee? Are you doing it basically for yourself? Obviously, you can't be charging to do this, to somebody else unless you have a license, and then you have to go to an attorney. You have to go to a title company. I will say one thing about it though is don't create deeds unless you know what you're doing. Go use a title company. Go use an attorney. That's an area you can get really messed up in. It's something you need to learn how to do. We do cover the basics of that in our teaching and in our program, but we don't get super deep into it. And the reason for that is that's a legal thing. It's something you got to put upon yourself, and you got to learn on your own and things like that. We give the basic generic thing. It's not difficult to do, but at the same token, don't do it unless you're 100% sure you know what you're doing.
And I think that's the key. What Jonathan just said is, if you're not comfortable, pay somebody to do it. It's not that much money. I mean, yeah, if you're paying $100 for a property, you probably don't want to spend $150 for somebody to write up a deed for you. But I mean, if there's any value and you're going to close on it yourself, pay an attorney, title company to do it for you. I mean, I've had attorneys just do deeds for me and nothing else, and was charged anywhere from like $150 to $250. I'm sure it varies by state, by location, by attorney, by title company, all that good stuff. But if it's worth anything and you don't know what you're doing, pay somebody to do it.
And I think the key you said there twice, just to make clear the point that, I mean, it's not necessarily what you're paying for the property is it's worth anything.
Yes.
Right. If you're buying a piece of property for $500, it's worth $4,000. Okay, you may not. If you're buying a piece of property for $500, that's worth $20,000. By chance you get a deal like that, professionally close it. There's no reason not to. It's cheap. It's easy. Cover yourself. Most of our deals are not low end. So unlike other programs out there, there's a lot of them that talk about like the self-closing because they're doing a lot of this low end stuff, right? We try to get away from those and are trying to do higher profit margin deals, deals that are actually turning $15, $20, $30, $50,000 in profit. So the vast majority of our closings actually do take place either with an attorney or a title company.
Yep. And so on to the next one. Is there a sweet spot in terms of number of acres needed to bring a good return on just land, no houses? I wouldn't say a sweet spot, because I'll give you an example. Right now, looking at my board, I have a quarter-acre lot that we're selling for $50,000. And then in another area, I have over 2-acre lot that I'm only selling for $100,000. So, I mean, it's a big difference in as far as acreage, right? A quarter acre to over 2 acres, like 2.7 acres or something to a quarter acre. That's a big difference in price, but they're not too far from each other. They're actually in the same county, but on the opposite sides of the county. But one is for sale for, again, we're asking 100, the other one we're asking for 50. So I don't think it's much of like acres as it is maybe like the area, what they're selling for in that area, what it's worth in that area, right? Every area, 2 acres is going to be worth a different price.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with acres. It has to do with what's normal in the area. The smallest lot that I have ever sold was about 4,000 square feet, which is under a tenth of an acre. It was like 0.8.
Yeah.
I've sold over 100 acres. And the key is what's normal in the area, right? If you're doing deals in the middle of Boston, it's going to be a tiny little property, right? You're not going to have 100 acres. If you have 100 acres in the middle of Boston, congratulations, you never have to work again, right? I mean, because it's worth millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. Conversely, you go out to the middle of Kansas, everything's huge. 1 acre property doesn't mean much, right? Nobody wants it. I mean, maybe in a small little, maybe in the town, if there's like the tiny little town and there's just a bunch of little lots in it, it's a town of 1,000 people and like those 5 blocks might have, but as soon as you get away from that in an area like that, it's going to get massively expansive. So it doesn't have anything to do with the number of acres. It has to do with what the norm is in the area. And as far as getting a good return, it doesn't have anything to do with any of what we just said. I mean, that's how to look at it. But getting a good return is always based on what you're buying it for. Buying it for the right price, any property.
That's absolutely true. I want to know the best way to start off buying land with less money and bad credit. But you don't need credit to buy land. In fact, a lot of banks won't lend on just raw land. There are some, but most of the times, the transactions we're doing is straight cash. Now, as far as the best way to start buying land, I mean, double close. That's the best thing I can, and that's the best thing you can do to get started. Put it under contract, double close it. Calvin, if you have the Land Riches Blueprint, shows you exactly what to do. As far as the step-by-step process that we use, the 10-step process that we use in order to get the leads, mail to them, reach out to them, send offers, all the research, all of that good stuff is all broken down step-by-step in there.
Yeah, you don't need either one. You don't need either one. I mean, you need money to market. We talk about that. We're not going to tell you don't need money to get involved. You need money to market. To do marketing,
biggest expense, yeah.
Because you're gonna have to reach out to people. I mean, they don't just fall in your lap. And I know people out there teach, well, you can do this, and you can a little bit for free. Scour the internet and stuff. You're gonna get a few deals here or there, maybe for hours of time spent. And if you have zero money to start, okay, you could go and do that for to get like a deal under belt. But then immediately you're gonna have to spend money on marketing. Immediately. But that being said, the marketing for land is way less than it is for houses or any other type of real estate. Way, 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 way less. Genus has put out a couple of videos on SMS statistics and the amount of deals that he's gotten for, under $1,000 a month in marketing, with many times that coming back in profit on, and we'll talk about that later. But so that's where the money is spent. It's in the marketing aspect. But when it comes to the credit, it doesn't mean anything at all. I've never, ever, ever done one single deal in 1,000+ deals that involve anything to do with my social security number and my credit. And then he mentioned the double closing. So you don't need any money either to even to purchase the properties to start with. It's just a marketing aspect only.
Yep. What is the best way from out of state to determine how much of a plot is usable? Don, that's all done at the county, all done through the county. Reach out to the county.
Or city.
Or city.
Whoever the governing body is of that property, yeah.
But I always start at the county and then they'll tell you, hey, we don't service this area. You got to reach out to this city, township, or whatever. And a lot of times they'll give you the information that you need in order to reach out to the next person in order to get the answers you're looking for. But all that's done. You don't need to be in the state. In fact, we're working 3 different states right now currently. And, we just reach out to them. We never go look at the land. We reach out to the county. We start at the counties, and sometimes we end up in cities or whoever we need to speak with in order to get those answers.
Yeah. It's all talking to the county departments and finding out. And again, we break all that down for you. We actually give you the questions to ask in the program, in the Land Riches Blueprint program. But again, that is definitely a government question that you ask. And I mean, you asked about, the best way from out of state, but in reality, it's out of area. I've done plenty of deals in my own state that are, I just closed one yesterday that's 5 hours from me. So even though it's in the same state, had zero bearing. I was no way I was going to go in there and have those conversations or ever see that piece of property or anything like that.
Yep. The next question: anyone using ringless voicemail to reach prospects? Thinking about running a few campaigns to gauge results. I've been primarily using text to this point. And then somebody asked, isn't ringless voicemail legal in Florida? As far as ringless voicemail, I use ringless voicemail as a follow-up, but I don't use it to try to get leads.
Yeah, I don't use it to try to get leads. It's more of a follow-up thing. It'd be expensive. That would not be cheap, because you're talking 5-6 cents a pop times, thousands. It would not be cheap to do that. Whether or not it's illegal or not, it may be. I've heard that. It's more of a. So the way that works, last I knew, and obviously you'd want to check this out for yourself, but it could be illegal if it is an unopted in, disinterested party that you're just reaching out to out of the blue. If you had a relationship with them and they've already called you and things like that, then yes, you could still use it, right? You can reach out to them then at that point. So like what Gina's was talking about in a follow-up, they've already contacted you and said, yes, I'm interested in selling my property. You send them a contract. You don't hear anything back. You use it as a follow-up. Now you're doing it with an established relationship. Doing it out of the blue, I have heard that they were trying to shut that down. Whether or not that actually took place, I don't know. But again, I don't use it, so I wouldn't even look at that. I don't personally feel that is a good marketing strategy. And I don't really know what you would want to be accomplished at that point. Because like when it comes to mail, it's to get a call, or have them reach out if they're interested. If you're doing it from the perspective of a text message, it's to get an immediate response and have them go back and forth with you. So if the point is to get a call, then take the less evasive action and just send them a letter and let them contact you that way. Because you're trying to get the same result either way. Texting is obviously trying to get a different result than sending a letter from them. But when it comes to, if you did a ringless voicemail or a letter, you're trying to get the same exact result. So just send a letter.
Yep. Now, cost comparison between texting and direct mail, also effectiveness of texting versus direct mail. I actually just recently, literally earlier today, kind of did somewhat of a breakdown for a student that was asked that same exact question. So just to make it simple, it's about 57 cents for a letter if you send direct mail using a mail house, right? If you bought a 5,000 package, that's the one we'll use. That's the one the majority of people buy. Some buy bigger packages, which would drop the price a little bit on your direct mail. But if you went to tlmletters.com and you were to buy, a $5,000 package of letters, it's going to cost you 57 cents. So for 2,000 letters sent a month, that's about $1,140. On average, people are spending about $100 on a third-party service to get leads, to acquire leads, to mail to. Some go straight to the county. Some counties do charge, some counties don't. So on average, about $100. Just doing those two things, not including the offers you're gonna send out. So let's say you send out 50 offers a month, and it costs you 35 cents to do it yourself, right? That's another like $15 or something like that. $20, something like that. So in this case, you're at about $1,200 or about $1,300 roughly, or $1,270 or whatever that is. If you were to do texting, you can do double the amount of leads, 4,000 leads, including skip tracing at 12 cents which runs you about $450 because they hit about 90%. So it's about 430 or something like that. If you did the skip tracing at 12 cents, the service is $2.99 to be able to text. And that includes up to 25,000 leads for the one that we use, tlmlist.com, the one we recommend, which is batch leads. So right now you're at like 700, roughly 700 something dollars a month. The VA, 30 to $60 a week, depending on how many hours you use them for, right? And that's if you want to use a VA, or you could do it yourself. And then in addition to that, you have your offers, which I send out a lot more offers via text than I do via direct mail. So you're looking at probably $50 a month on, just sending offers out yourself, doing that. And then in addition to that, you have some miscellaneous costs. You have to pay for text. It's about a dollar for roughly 126 texts. So at 6,500 texts, it costs you, I don't know, maybe like $60 or something, like $50 or something like that. So if you were to add all that up without the VA, you're at about $1,000 roughly, and that's including a little buffer in case you send extra texts. You got extra phone numbers and all that good stuff, because each phone number costs you about $1.10 a month. From Twilio and Plivo's probably right around the same, and those are the two that we use and that we recommend personally. So you can send double the amount of text messages for less than you would sending out 2,000 letters. Now, for the full effectiveness, we do recommend doing both. Now, if you're going to choose one or the other, I mean, I'd probably right now today go with texting, because it's more instant and you have a better chance to get a deal a little bit quicker than you did by sending direct mail, in my opinion. Jonathan?
Yeah, I mean, the only caveat I would put on that is at the very end is it would really depend on your budget. If you're only going to mail 100 letters a week because that's all you can afford to begin with,
it's going to take a long time.
It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time. I'm not going to say you're going to get a deal immediately, but some people just say like, that's all. And honestly, we don't recommend that. But if that's where you're at and that's all you can do, then mail the letters and do them yourself. Don't go spend $300 a month for a service if you're not going to use it. That's the problem, right? Because that $300 is there every single month, regardless. But if your marketing budget is where we're telling you it should be, which is where you want to, most people getting started or anything like that, wherever you are. So if you're not in that boat, which most aren't, right? If you're in a boat, if you're going to spend a few $100, right? Or up to $1,000, then yes, go to the text first, get the service. We'll explain why that's important later as we're talking here. This is not a workaround scenario. You need to use a service. You need to use a good service when it comes to SMS. Yeah. So you're going to have that expense, right? There's no way around that. They're taking the liability. They're taking the issues with it. So you're going to pay for it. But because of that, you just got to make sure that you do it. You don't want to be spending $300 a month for a service and then not sending text messages out, right? So make sure that you're in the position that you're actually going to follow through. So if you're in that boat of, yes, I'm comfortable with spending right now $6,000, $1,000 a month. $1,000 a month is what Genus and I are spending on text messages. We're at a higher level. You could be lower than that, right?
And you can even do more if you want more.
Yeah, you can do more. People do, right?
More.
Yeah. But so you have to be at least at $300 though. Plus then you're going to have some skip tracing. Skip tracing doesn't happen every month. It comes when you have a list, right? It's 12 cents a pop, but it's you're like, oh man, that's expensive, but you pay for it once and you're done. So if you get, a list of 10,000, let's just use that as, cause it's a nice easy number. If you have a list of 10,000 done and that's $1,200 or $1,000, let's say, cause at 90%, but now you've got 10,000 leads that you never have to worry about spending. The only expense after that is the $2.99 a month plus the amount of texts. You don't have to skip trace the entire list at once. There's the cost doesn't change. The 12 cents doesn't change. So if you're at 10,000, you're like, I can't afford $1,000, but okay, we'll do half of them and pay $500. Do a quarter of them and pay $250. So now you're at the $2.99 plus $250 for skip tracing, a quarter of your list. Plus, and then as you send out the text messages, those basically equate to nothing. I mean, if you're spending a low amount, you're going to spend $50 a month. I mean, if that. So it's going to really be not much there. But it's just a matter of making sure that you have it in place. Hey, I've got it. And I know it came up because we had a poll about it and some people mentioned the cost. but the cost is still cheaper than if you're doing anything more than a couple hundred letters a week. SMS is cheaper. There's no doubt about it.
And it's quicker. Now the biggest downside to SMS is you're not reaching 100% of the people in that county, unfortunately, right? Because first of all, you're not going to get every phone number. If you use a third party, they're not going to have every lead like the county does for whatever reason. If you're skip tracing, again, you're not going to get a phone number to every person. So you're already dwindled down to probably around 70% of the county.
Yeah, and to get a skip trace number, you need an actual address. So anybody with a PO box, anybody with a private mailbox, anything like that, they're automatically gone. Yep. Just gone. There's no way to skip trace them.
Yep.
So that you're losing those people unless you send a letter.
Yeah. So in that case, I mean, you're probably hitting via text. You're probably hitting about 70% of the county, which is not bad, especially if you can still get some deals out of it. And it's a decent county. But that's why we do both with the follow up on the letter, or we do the letters first and follow up with a text, so we can maximize every county. So if you have the money, that's what we recommend, to maximize every opportunity in wherever you're working.
And I'll say, I mean, what I said at the beginning about if you don't want to be in that boat, but we understand some of you are. We don't want you just to sit on your hands and not do anything. So if you can only mail 100 pieces a week for the next month or two, mail 100 pieces a week. Then focus on the skip tracing, I mean, the SMS with the skip tracing, because that's going to allow you to have a further outreach. And then as you grow, you want to be doing both, because I have found that, yes, SMS on itself works. Letters on themselves work. Together, they work even better. In the last month, I just got back 3 contracts from SMS, 2 people that received a letter from me and didn't respond. But now the follow-up got me 3 more contracts. One of those contracts is going to be about $40,000 in profit. So you do the math, right? So the doing them together obviously is what's working the very best. But we understand it takes a little bit to get there, but you just got to have a goal in mind and a plan of action as you're building this up.
And just real quick, man, what I want to tell people is, because a lot of people are always, hey man, there's so much competition and there's so much this and that. And don't get me wrong, it's not like you're the only person sending mail to a county, right? There's about 4,000 or 5,000 counties in the U.S. I'm sure there's more than 4,000 or 5,000 land investors out there, okay? Which means that's more than one per county. So, but a little competition is not a bad thing. And what I mean by a little is, if you go to try to find houses in the hottest market there's thousands of investors all out there fighting for the same houses, right? If you're doing the same thing with land, yes, you're going to get people that say, man, I get letters all the time. My question is, how many letters did you receive in the last month? Oh, I got 5 or I got 7. If that's competition to you, just imagine being in the housing world and what competition looks like. Now, and don't get me wrong, competition is not always a bad thing, okay? It's what are you going to do to set yourself apart and your business apart in order to want somebody to work with you, or for them to choose your offer over everybody else's, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is how are you going to set yourself apart in this business so you can get deals on the contract and also be able to move them.
And when he says 4,000 land investors, that's not full time. That's dabblers. That's people. I mean, there's very few full-time land investors. I mean, when Deb was on, she talked about 1,500 clients that send land letters, but some of those were realtors, some of those were in the housing world as well. So 1,500 across the country. It's 30 per state. That's very small, right? That's a very small number, but it's some competition. It's good. Now, conversely, I was just teaching a course a couple of weeks ago. I had a guy there telling me $15,000 to get one deal in housing, $15,000 in marketing. Imagine that. That's in letters. $1,500 in direct mail to get one deal. $15,000. Yeah, $15,000 in direct mail to get one deal. We live in a different world. So
I've been averaging, just off of text messaging, roughly $1,050 or so per month. And since January 1st, as of today, right now, I've gotten 10 signed contracts.
For under $3,000.
For under $3,000 on land. And for example, the latest deal I just got is the one I just listed for $50,000, and I got on the contract for $22,500. plus $300 in back taxes. So $23,000 roughly, another $1,000 for closing. And I got it listed 5,000 lower than any other lot in the area because I'm trying to get rid of it. And that will
give you guys a little
buy. If we don't close on it, we're going to buy. It's a great lot. And I'm not going to drop the price too much more than where it's at right now.
I'll give you guys one little secret. We were talking about this with texting and letters. I have found personally, because you were asking which is better in the conjunction, jump into it with text, but we've said that they work both. I have personally found that if they got a letter first and then a text, it works better than a text first than a letter. So that being said, try to do both, but we are getting deals from just texting. Gina's is getting deals from just texting. So if you need to get the ball rolling, absolutely, get it going, jump in the texting, jump on that, add it. If you already have the ball rolling with mail, keep it going, go use some of those lists you've already had. You have them sitting there. You literally mail those people, start texting those people. Jump on it right. You can literally sign up, at tlmlist.com. You can sign up for batch leads. You can get this going, and you can literally be sending out texts tomorrow. By the end of this week, right? Depends how quickly it takes you to set up. It'll take a few hours, to actually set the whole process up. But if you do that, you can literally be having things going out and be in contact with people within the next few days. And it's very, very likely that you could have some sort of agreement in principle, either by sending them a document or having a contract going to them or whatever, within the next week or two. Very likely.
Now, the setup, it's going to take a little bit of time, several hours. If you're not very computer savvy, the support team with Batch Leads has been amazing. They're very helpful. They help you get through it. But be prepared, and that's what I'm telling you, be prepared. That's going to take several hours to set everything up the right way. But once you set it up, after that first time using it, which is the headache part, after that, it's like becomes a breeze. I mean, literally it takes my wife 5 minutes to do everything now. And then it takes her 30 seconds to send 200 text messages per day, literally. It takes her 30 seconds. You just hold the button down and it kind of goes through them all for you. With different phone numbers, different messages, and all that good stuff. And it sends one text at a time, not group text, not a whole crap of them at one time. It sends one per tap, basically.
And since we're on this, we might as well just stay on this. Because we know from our poll that people said the vast majority of you have not gotten involved. The main reason was that you found it risky, right? That was by far the biggest reason. Now, I will say for a couple of different things here, we'll cover that one last. So for time, people said time was a reason that they weren't getting involved, right? They weren't getting involved because other than what Gina's just said at the very beginning and having it set up and taking a few hours, the time aspect is like non-existent. It's very quick. Yeah, you could really make it non-existent by hiring a VA for next to nothing. If you have a little bit of money, and I mean a little, $50 a week, you can have them basically do everything. And then all you have to do is go in and finalize it and decide, and work out the final thing. I literally is spending 10 to 15 minutes per day on my actual text messaging side because of having a VA. So there's no time involved. And I'm not spending a lot of money to have it get to that point. Okay. Laziness, it is what it is, guys. Get off your butts. I mean, honestly, if you're, I put it out there and I said, let's call it. You said you're lazy. Well, don't complain when other people are making money and other people are passing you. Then you got to get up off your butt and do something, right? Cost. Yes, there is a cost. Obviously, we've talked about that. You're looking at a flat $300 a month, regardless of what you do. That should be emphasis to actually do something, because the actual costs after that are very minor compared to other marketing means. Even that is inexpensive. $300 a month, right? But it should be the push that you need to be like, man, I'm not going to only send out 200 texts a month. I'm going to do this regularly because of that. But when it comes down to the actual money aspect of it and how much it is, it's much cheaper to get it out. Find it incredibly annoying? Suck it up, honestly. I mean, It's
you
not
want to
you.
make money, you got to do what
Yeah.
works at the end of the day.
And you will find it annoying to get it yourself, but you're not getting them. You're sending them. You know, they have an opt out if they don't want to be involved. I don't like it either. It drives me nuts. I opt out of all of those things when they come in, but I still use it. You know, and there's a lot of things that we do in business that we wouldn't necessarily say, oh man, I wish I could. You know, that's true in any business. You know, I mean, think about somebody that goes and punches a time clock. I mean, they find it annoying, but you got to do what you got to do to make money. So that in itself, just get it out of your head. Who cares if you find it annoying?
Yeah.
Wasn't aware of the effectiveness, but I'm down. 7 of you said that. Guess what? Then do it. If you're literally saying that, don't talk. It's easy to say, I'm into this, and then you don't actually do it, right? Do it. There's 7 of you saying that. You should be signing up right now at tlmlist.com. You should be signing up for batch lead service. You should be signing up for this, getting it going, getting this list out there. And then finally, finding it risky. Guys, the risk is mitigated by using this third party. That's why you're talking about a company that is being used by not just us, right? Not just land investors. This is being used by house investors. This is being used by contractors. This is being used by all different professionals out there to reach out to different people. When Kyle was on and was showing us, Kyle from Batch Leads was on, and he walked through the entire process with us. He showed how that was done, how the do not call list was checked every 16 minutes, how the professional litigator list was checked every 16 minutes, how to put the opt-in feature so that you don't get shut down, don't get sued, how to do all of these things. And the example he showed was actually of a roofing company that was using this based on when the last repairs were done on the house. A lot of different companies are using this. You just got to stay within the parameters. So if you use our program in the Land Riches Blueprint program, that video is included. That training is included where he walks through that for whatever it was, an hour and a half or something, showing you how to use the system. You follow those things right, you're completely mitigating your risks when it comes to these things. You're protecting yourself. That's why you don't want to be cheap with this. Somebody was like, well, I could just send out text from my phone, or you could. You're taking a big gamble though, right? So we definitely don't recommend that. Plus, you can't really scale it. I mean, how can you send out? I can send out 1,000 texts in 3 minutes, right? Using that service. What can I send out from my phone? Even copying and pasting, 20? It's like, so you're never going to be able to scale it. So when it comes to that risky aspect, you need to be looking at it from using the right service, using the right sources, following the steps the right way, working your way down as we talked about the setup, and then doing it once and following it down. And after that, it's easy each and every time. So they're just addressing those things with you guys, as we're going on here.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's great information for these people, especially us seeing the results from the poll, and the amount of people that, put time, which is then you wanted to use SMS, and then finding it risky. Again, same thing. So with that being said, we'll move on to the next question, Jonathan. What's the difference between a purchase agreement, option, and an assignment? What's the difference between an assignment and a double closing?
You take it. You did a 1-minute video on it on TikTok that was like perfect. So I'm going to time you and see if you can do it in 1 minute right now. Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, purchase agreement, obviously you're sending them a contract to purchase the property. An option is basically it's used. I don't never use an option personally. I never use an option because to me it's like the same thing because of the way our contracts are created. It's almost similar to an option, but it's a purchase agreement. And then an assignment, an option is basically you have the option to buy a piece of property at X amount of price by putting down an option fee of whatever amount you guys agreed to, right? And then exercising that option if you decide you're going to close on that deal. An assignment is just something written into your purchase agreement that you have the ability to assign that contract to another investor at a fee that you're going to charge for it. So again, an assignment is when you don't close on the deal. For example, I'm getting this property for $10,000. I'm going to assign it to Jonathan for $15,000. At closing, I'm going to make $5,000. Jonathan gets that contract and closes it. Right. A double closing is I got
one seller, one buyer, and you're not either.
Sorry. One seller, one buyer.
And you're not either one of them.
A double closing is I have a A to B contract, which is between me and the seller. Then I have a B to C contract, which is between me and my buyer. So there's three people in the deal this time. It's the seller, myself, the buyer. Two contracts. I send those both to the attorney or title company, and they close my first half between me and the seller after the buyer pays and signs all the paperwork, and then they close the second side to them. So it's basically you're doing the first steps, what you need the money for. They used to do pass-through closings. That's borderline illegal. No one does that anymore. If you find an attorney that does it, I'd probably still do a double closing, not a pass-through closing, just for protection and cleanliness of everything. But again, basically I always make the buyer, make sure the buyer has signed all the documents and the attorney or title company has received the money before I send my money, because I don't want to get stuck with the deal unless it's an awesome deal. I don't want to get stuck with the deal. So I always do that first for protection. Once the attorney or title company says everything is done, I wire my funds for my closing, the A to B, and then they'll record the title, the deed. Once they record the deed, then they'll do the second part of the closing, and then they'll wire me the money back.
So the key is assignment, one closing, one contract, double closing, two closings, two contracts. Can happen at the exact same time though. And just a quick thing on why we don't use assignments as much. Housing world, very, very, very popular. Why? Buying a house for $130,000, under contract selling it for $150,000, and you're walking away with 20 grand. That's actually a good wholesale deal, right? A lot of them are $7,000, $8,000, $10,000. So you're getting it for one. When you're buying a piece of property for $5,000 and selling it for $15,000, you say, well, it's still $10,000. Yes, but you're also making $10,000 on a $5,000 purchase. That people see it. Either the buyer or the seller sees it in an assignment, right? Because it's one closing. So the buyer's bringing $15,000, the seller's getting $5,000. Where's the other $10,000? It has to be shown somewhere because it's an assignment. If it's double closing, doesn't need to happen, right? Double closing, buyer has the seller is getting $5,000. You're actually giving them $5,000. That closing's done. Other closing now, buyer's bringing $15,000. You're getting $15,000. Yes, 15 minus 5 is still 10. You're still making the same amount of money, but two separate closings. So nobody sees what happened in the other transaction. It's a cleaner way of doing things where you don't have to worry about things falling apart. When we have Dave Dinkle on Crushing Land, and he talked about transactional funding, that's who we recommend. And Keely talked about a deal. Actually, she made a video. She was talking about a deal that she did, and she was talking about how, it was like she made like $23,000 or something. She paid $400. $400 for to have somebody else's money in there. So it was very cheap, right? To be able to do a double closing. He's very cheap. But one of the things he mentioned in that video was that in doing this, he sees the more closings or more deals fall apart at the closing table than anywhere else. Why? Because people are fighting over money. So why even give them the option to do that? Double closing has two different closing packages and people don't even see it. That way, your buyer and seller don't see the same stuff. They're both happy. You don't even risk the chance of them looking at that and being like, hey, you're making X amount of money on me when it's only this. Mr. Seller, you're only giving me 5, but you're making 10. Or Mr. Buyer saying, I'm bringing you 15, but this guy owns it. You're making 10 when only giving him 5. That happens. People do it. So if you can avoid that, obviously do it. That's why you want to use double closings as much, in most cases.
Double closing is going to be the best way to do this. This guy said he's spending $2,500 a month on May. I need to switch to SMS, cut back on marketing costs and increase profit. Absolutely, Corey. Absolutely. Reach out to one of our guys, man, and they can chat with you a little bit about best ways to kind of move forward and make sure you're getting the best bang for your buck. 980-357-4545. Guys, if any of you guys want to jump on a call with any of our guys, you can go to landmethod.com. We do have a schedule a call there, a 15-minute call, just to jump on the phone with somebody, give you guys some tips, some tricks to help you guys kind of get going and just kind of see where you guys are at, man. The reality is a lot of people, there's so much out here, so much different, investors, gurus, so-called, all that good stuff that everybody's like at a point where they want to do it on their own. That's fine. The reality is, though, doing it on your own, it's a bigger learning curve than you think. Some people strike a deal quick early, don't know much, get excited, think it's going to happen like that all the time, and then others it takes a while to get it done. So, with that being said, what you want to do is just make sure you're educated properly. So when you have things moving, there's no lacking. You can maximize profits and things of that nature. So if you guys want to chat with our guys, man, reach out to us. They'd love to chat with you guys and see how we can help you guys out.
And everything here is included in our training program. Yes, we're giving you some answers here today and things like that, but every single one of these things is covered with details, documents, all of these things in, the Land Riches Blueprint, home study course that you guys can use, get access to, and all that. And it's very interesting. I was, like I said, I was teaching at a group recently, and the person that was putting it on made a very interesting statement, which is very true with all of this. They were like, if you're even thinking about getting involved in this, they're like, for the cost to do it, they were like, how much does a real estate attorney charge you for their advice? $400 an hour? If you're getting all of our contracts, which we had checked by a real estate and drawn, not even checked, created by a real estate attorney, right? You're getting documents that have been verified. You're getting a model and things like that have been verified. All of that saving you up. It's like, how far do you have to go before you would eat that much up? The price of the course. It's like, a couple documents. It's like you'd already be. So just a way to look at it, moving forward with things, because sometimes people are always like trying to piece things together and doing things, and in the long run, it's like the opportunity cost and what it costs to get there, the opportunity cost and the actual cost ended up being more than it would have been to just do it right from March 29th, 2023 on, moving forward. So just something to, keep in mind as we're talking here today.
Not only that, and one other thing, man, in our course and the Land Riches Blueprint, I think one thing that's super underrated is our resources section. We redesigned our whole resources section about a month ago. And I mean, we have a ton of resources on there to help you guys out. We even have a way you guys can get dirt cheap labels, like overnight labels and things of that nature, which we've had a few people reach out and get some labels from us and said they've saved a ton of money. For example, in December, we went on a cruise and I had shipped, I had my brother-in-law in Ohio go to the birth certificate office to get my kids' birth certificates to overnight them to me, because we were waiting on their passports, and we forgot that, they take your birth certificate too when you get a new passport. So we had no passport, we had no birth certificates for our kids. So we had my brother-in-law go get new birth certificates for us, and overnight them. It was $52 for an overnight early delivery. And we can get those for like 18, 19 bucks for an overnight label. So a lot of title companies, attorneys, they charge you on there from like 35 to $50 to overnight your documents. You can save money. You can save money using the labels that we can get you for literally a cheaper price, and just tell them to send you the documents, but take the 35 or $50 charge off because you got your own label.
I just had an attorney who just did a closing yesterday, overnight, $100.
Yeah, they charge whatever they want.
I was like, here's my label. It's like, so no, it's like, so that's just one little resource that we have for you guys. There's plenty of others.
Oh yeah,
the call with Kyle's in there, walking you through the guy that is the manager of this whole department for SMS, and making sure people got on a call with it. Not one of the guys under him, the guy that runs it, the main person that runs that department came on and did a training call for an hour and a half and walked you through how to do this, and that's in there, for you guys to watch. Some of our scripts for SMS and things like that, and the quick replies, the different things that you're going to need for setup, all of that is in there. So
everything is in there, man, that you guys need to successfully do it. Now, it's a do-it-yourself program, right? We do provide you some basic support if you need help, if you're stuck somewhere or something like that. We do provide you guys with some support to get you unstuck. But at the end of the day, everything that you need to be successful is in the system. And the best part to me is that you don't have hour-long modules that it's Jonathan just, fluffing things up for 45 minutes and giving you 5 minutes of content, right? It's literally 15-minute, 20-minute modules that's straight to the point, screen sharing, all that good stuff that says, hey, this is how we do it. This is what you should do. This is how you need to do it. In addition to that, like we've said before, other speakers out there have these courses that's been out for several years and haven't updated it. Our course came out in March of last year. We didn't start promoting it to the masses until about June or July of last year. And we've already updated it with the SMS stuff because we've been testing it for a while and we know it works. So why not bring that to our student base, to our followers and people that, are looking to grow.
That was a major update, but we've done, in that little bit of time, we've also done a lot of minor updates. We've updated extra resources for you guys, like you just talked about with the list. We updated a couple documents because an attorney had reviewed some of the documents and said, hey, based on recent things, I would change it to this. So we changed, it was minor documents, but still. So yes, we've had a major court change with the SMS, but we've also had, just in the last year, a handful of minor, and that's only 1 year, right? And part of that is we're doing this. We're out there doing this. We're not people that did it. There's a lot of people out there that were land investors. And then they realize, man, there's an opportunity to sell a course, or there's an opportunity to sell coaching, or there's an opportunity to sell documents, or there's an opportunity to sell a CRM, or whatever it may be, and aren't really active in the land investing field anymore. If you're not active, you're not going to be making the changes. Why? Because you don't have anything to adapt to. I just posted in the group. You guys saw it. I mean, in the last week, we closed $60-something thousand in profit on deals, right? In the last week. A lot of people are hoping to make that in a year. We made it in a week, So it's like looking at that. We are using what we're doing right now, and we're bringing that to you guys so that you have the same access to the documents you see, the methods that you see, all the different things that you see are what we actually use.
And not only that, for example, our coaching students, they work directly with us, myself, Jonathan, or both of us. I mean, we try to accommodate and work directly with our student base because we're not like a lot of these other speakers, right? They go hire these coaches, and I'm not saying anything bad about that, right? There's some great coaches out there, just like there's a bunch of bad coaches out there and a bunch of bad people. But with us, you're working directly with us. We know what we're doing. We're not putting you on other people. You're depending on us to help you. And as long as you do your part, we're going to do everything we can to help you. I mean, that's what it comes down to. We're going to give you everything we know, just like, in our system, just like in our coaching, things of that nature. I mean, we're straight up honest, straightforward. We don't beat around the bush, man. It is what it is.
And with that being said, I mean, we are here to help. That's why we're doing this type of thing. I know we've got more questions that have come in. We're pushing an hour. It's usually what we are. We stay on a little bit longer. We've still got a handful of questions left. The thing with this is, everybody, I know a lot of you are taking advantage of some, from some help and some free and all that, but there's only so far you can go in a time like this, right? We're saying we're going to come here, we're going to answer your questions and all that, and we are, but when there's 40 questions to be answered in an hour and a half, it's not, you're not going to get detailed. We do provide that. That's what we provide in the training, is the actual details of these things. We're showing you that we understand this stuff. We know it. We're giving you direct answers, no fluff like Gina said here, but that's even more so, in our program.
Absolutely. So what resources are good for land leads? I mean, TLM Prop, which is PropStream, we recommend them if you're going to outsource, look for a third party. TLM Lists, obviously batch leads. They're very similar in price as far as what you get, things of that nature, is just which one you like better.
And batch leads, if you get the SMS, for $200, you get 25,000 leads.
Yes. So that, and then obviously going straight to the county, man. Those are the three we recommend. Going straight to the county, getting a list, which is always going to be your best list. It's sometimes in some counties, some states, it's very difficult to get a list. It's very hard to get to people, so they use third-party services. And in that case, tlmprop.com, tlmlist.com. Those are the two that we recommend.
The goal of all of this stuff is to reach out to the owners directly.
Yes.
No third party, as in no realtors, nothing like you're reaching out to people that own properties directly.
Yep. Do we have access to the 20 plus messages that go out via SMS texting for land? If you own the gold coaching, you do have access to everything. If you do not have gold coaching, you have access to some of the messages in the course. We have put some in the course. Our gold coaching students have access to everything.
So with LandRich, just to understand that with SMS, you can get it going. In LandRich's blueprint, you have the call with Kyle to have it going. There's a whole module on setting it up, and you have some access to messages that we created, both as standard going out messages and quick replies to people. Yep. If you're a member of Goal Coaching, you have all of that, plus everything that we use, as well as an additional training that we did for, I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours, where we showed you exactly how we did it, including sending out messages live in that training, just to show you how that was done. So,
and that's something else I wanted to just touch on real quick. I mean, when we did the update, we allowed just the LRB students to attend the training as well. And we could have easily charged people for that, right? Because we updated the course. So to have free updates for life, and we updated the course. We didn't have to do the additional training. We planned to only do the additional training for our coaching students. And then we decided, well, you know what? Let everybody that has purchased something for us come to this training. And we could have easily charged $100, $200, $300, and I promise you most people would have done it, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately, we didn't. We allowed people to come for free because that's just the kind of people we are, right? We're trying to give you guys everything to help you succeed. You have to be the one to take it upon yourself to do the work, to put in the time, to take massive action, and understand that there's going to be hurdles and road bumps along the way, right? I mean, that's just with any business. If anything is worth it, it's not going to be easy. If it was easy, we would all be rich and no one would be out here trying to help people with education and things of that nature because everybody would know. Do we, I'm new to land, I just got a call. Anyone have a lender to finance land? There's a few lenders out there.
You don't want to do that. Let's just leave it at that. We already talked about it, right? You don't want to do it. You don't want to, because what happens if you don't sell it?
I think this person is talking about financing for themselves.
Oh, so if you want to buy a piece of property, then start with your lender and see if there's any options. Most banks aren't going to do it. But if you're looking at it for like a building purpose or something like that, they may, because you might be able to get a loan that builds in the land and the house and everything all together. That's actually pretty common. But if you're looking at it just for the sake of buying, then you're most likely looking at an owner finance situation or paying a fair amount. And by a fair amount, I mean like half down with a traditional lender.
Yep. And then
and that varies by state. Sorry. If you are looking for that purpose, you got to go up because everything varies by most lenders when it comes to this are not national. So It really depends on where you're located.
I always say start with whatever bank you bank with, reach out to them first. If you bank with multiple, reach out to those banks first. You already have a relationship with them. For example, my credit union don't do a lot of things and they don't, but if you've been working with them, when I first, about 3 years into it, our credit union, we've been with them, 16, 17 years now. About 2-3 years into it, we had bad credit. We had a car loan that was paying like 27% interest or something like that. And then we ended up going to our credit union that we had a relationship with for a few years, and they approved us. And my credit union, as state employees, they approve everybody the same interest rate based on if they approve you and I got a 550 credit score and they approve Jonathan and he got a 800 credit score, we still get the same rate. I know most banks don't do that, but my credit union does that, which was awesome because I went from like 27% down to like 5% at the time. And instead of lowering my payment, I just lowered the amount of months I paid it. So I always start with whoever you have a relationship with first and then kind of go from there. Somebody asked how to fund deals using a retirement account. We actually did a whole training on crushing land with a self-directed IRA company, IRA Club. So if you go to our YouTube channel, The Land Method, go to YouTube, type in The Land Method, subscribe to us for one, and then for two, just look for the IRA video, or you could message us and I could find it and send it to you, or one of us could find it and send it to you. But
it's easier just to go to, it's a Land Method, youtube.com/land method, or I think it's a C in there, youtube.com/C, I think it's channel / the Land Method, or just search for the Land Method. It's in the Crushing Land series. It was like the second or third one we did.
Yeah.
But it was all about using self-directed IRAs and things like that. And there is, so yeah, watch that. That will give you plenty of details.
Hour and a half about it, some Q&As on there, and they're a very good company. I personally use them as well. I do a few deals out of my IRA every year, just to build up the retirement account. So yeah, they're awesome.
Right. I'm paying attention. I'm looking down because I'm trying to see if I'm missing any messages. Any questions?
I'm wondering about getting a business loan. Do you have any recommendations or who I might contact for that? We don't personally. I'm talking with one company, but nothing's set in stone. So I don't want to give out anything. And then, they end up being a terrible company. But as of right now, we don't have anybody we recommend. We did about a year and a half ago, and then they ended up being a terrible company, man, for multiple reasons. So we let them go as well.
And my question in there is, again, why? What are you looking to accomplish? You should really be able to get the ball going with just a few $1,000s. I think a lot of people are looking at this like this huge let the business fund itself as you start getting stuff, right? But don't go crazy with like, oh man, I got to go take out some loan to, you don't need that. I've yet to meet a person that needed that. I know people that have taken out loans for different aspects and things like that on smaller numbers and things like, but to go out there and try to put out a whole business plan, this can be a very quick, we kind of already went over that, right? Especially with texting and getting something in, and then you could get that property, get under contract, you could discount it down to move it quickly. You could do a few different things and obviously get the ball rolling, and all of a sudden you have money coming in, and now you can just fund yourself as you're growing it.
Yep. So, I mean, with that being said, Jonathan, that's all the questions, man.
I think a couple came up.
Where I just refreshed. I didn't see any.
There was one on, let's see, YouTube. Somebody said best way to find land sellers in 2023. We talked about that. Say nothing's changed. It's letters, SMS. And we went over the pluses and minuses to both, right? Any new hard money lenders, we don't use hard money, transactional funding. Hard money means you are locked in, you're buying the property, you're using it and things like that. You better know what you're doing. If you're starting, don't be playing hard money. We had a coaching student that did hard money, but he knew what he was doing and he was paying a percentage every month. You don't sell that for 6 months, you're locked in at that interest rate. You're paying them. Right? That's not what you want to be doing to start. So you don't want to be playing the hard money game, from the get-go.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. I'm scrolling through the comments. Sorry. CRM. What CRM are you using? Can you talk about that for a minute, or?
Yeah, CRM. We do have a CRM coming out. We are using it currently. We have some people testing it. We just finished with a bunch of updates on it. We're in our second phase of testing now. So that should be out soon, hopefully. If everything goes right in the second round of testing, we should be launching it very soon. So without talking too much about it, be on the lookout for it. It's going to be very inexpensive compared to what's out there. Okay. Meaning it's not going to be 200, not even 150 bucks a month or anything like that. We're trying to bring you guys something that is what you need to succeed, to help you with your deal flow and things of that nature, without adding all the additional bells and whistles that 97% of people don't use, right? At the end of the day, 97% of the people use the basic information in a CRM with a few additionals, and you're being charged for all the bells and whistles that the 3% use, right? Unfortunately, that's how it works in the industry. And so what we're coming out with is a CRM that helps with your deal flow in every aspect, and it's exactly what you need, and it's going to be very inexpensive compared to what's out there.
And part of the reason for that is just the same as what we talked about with programs and coaching. A lot of the people that create these things do some deals, but they're web developers. That's what they do. And so they create these programs, they create these things, they have them out there, and they're like, hey, we present this to you, but it's not real world for what we do in the land investing business and what we actually need. So again, more details of that will be coming out soon.
Shortly. Yeah, shortly. I know I said 30 days about 3 weeks ago or so.
We're very close. We honestly have a meeting next week that we're going to be talking about everything and seeing our next step. So
exactly. We have a meeting next week, and then after that meeting, we'll have more information as to, hopefully launch date, things of that nature. So be on the lookout for that.
And then this question, our last one that came in here, I totally new, would like to know the entire process from A to Z, how to start, how to find off-market leads.
That is, if you're asking me my opinion, you probably should reach out to us and have a conversation to really just kind of get to know what you're trying to do, what your goals are, and then to see if we can even help you out and if we're a good fit for you. The one thing with us guys is we're not high pressure. We're not going to pressure you into doing something you don't want to do. We're going to state the facts. We're going to show you what we do, how we do it. Us and all of our people that work with us are investors. We actually do the business. Our team, they do the business as well. They're not just sitting here trying to sell people into things that may not work for them. But it is based on the conversation, where you're at, what you're trying to do, what your goals are. I mean, I personally say have a 15, 20 minute conversation with our team. And then, we'll see, we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. Our process is brought out in our course. So everything you said there, it's in the Land Riches Blueprint course. And from there, obviously, we do offer coaching and things like that to help more as you're going along. Yep. And then one question just came in here. Is there a weekly Zoom meeting for the Land Riches Blueprint? No. The meetings that we're talking about are for our gold coaching and our personal coaching students. So we do have a
bi-weekly calls. We do bi-weekly calls for our coaching students and our Q&A calls. We teach something or give some updates as to what's going on in our businesses or in general with the real estate world. And then the remaining part of that call is all Q&As based on our students. They're very informative, very helpful, and they're smaller calls. I mean, there's not like 50 people on these calls or anything like that. So it's a lot of one-on-one time spent.
So they all have one-on-one calls. Yeah. And then additionally, this is a group call where, we'll cover something, usually a little bit more detail, something that we're working on, whatever it may be, to help them. And then help them and then obviously they can help each other in the aspect of they're asking questions that are a little bit more detailed that we're helping them with, and then the others that are watching benefit from it as well.
Yep. Well, with that being said, you see any more questions? I don't see any.
I don't. So everybody, thank you for joining us. We'll wrap up here with just saying, again, reach out if you have questions. I see some of you have been asking questions and saying you're doing things. I mean, give us a call, 980-357-4545. Give us a call. Have a discussion. See if we're a good fit. See if we can help you with things like this further. You can go check it out, thelandmethod.com, and go through our different things, Land Riches Blueprint, look at it and all of that, and see how we can help you. I mean, I know we can help you. We've proved that today in a short time together. We're doing this. We've helped others. I've helped numerous people, over the last 7 years now, right? Yep. For me.
I've been
of
15
teaching land
years plus
investing,
helping
only
people,
land
man.
investing, teaching land investing to others, right? Helping numerous people accomplish different things. Many of them now running 6 and 7 figure a year businesses as well in this. We can help you get to the same results. But like I said, when we talked about earlier, you know, when we specifically with SMS and being lazy, it's not just SMS, it's everything. You know, you gotta, and it's not, I'm gonna call it laziness, but sometimes we just gotta get our fears out of the way. We got to get off our butts. We got to do stuff. So whatever that may be, you know, whatever that is for you, you know, take action and get going.
And the only thing I want to close, and I'll close with this, guys, we do have a 3-day content training coming up in April on doing deals. It's going to be a ton of content. We'll have some giveaways and some prizes and things of that nature. It's going to be live in the group. To receive reminders about it, go to flipthatlandclass.com to register. And then you'll get emails just reminding you about it, things of that nature. But it'll be live in a group and via Zoom only. So you must watch it in a group or on Zoom. We're not doing it anywhere else. We're not promoting it anywhere else or anything like that. So make sure you guys tune in. If you're newer, if you're just looking for different strategies and tips to help your business out. And if you guys want to ask questions about that, if you call in, talk to our team, they know all about it. They can help you guys talk about it more, things of that nature as well. So again, register at flipthatlandclass.com or reach out to us 980-357-4545. And then, they'll be able to help you guys out, answer some questions, tell you a little bit more about it as well if you have questions. So with that being said, guys, great conversation, went over a little bit, but it's okay with us. We'll be on. We'll have another Q&A probably in a month or so, month and a half. So don't be shy, guys. During these Q&As, ask questions. That's what we're here for. We try to answer them the best we can and to help you guys.
And we will be answering questions at that 3-day too. So
yes, there'll be a Q&A almost every day on there as well. So yeah, make sure you guys tune into that as well. Till next time.
Have a good day.